Namaskar, hello and welcome to NCRT's live phone-in program. This is a special program on school leadership development. And for today, we have the topic Reimaging Schools and Leadership, Challenges Amidst COVID-19 Pandemic Crisis and Opportunities in the Context of National Education Policy 2020. You're watching us on PMeVIDYA channel number 6, 9 and 12. So all the students who are watching us, if you have any questions, any queries, please feel free to call us on our toll-free number, which is 8800 440 559. You can see the number on your screens as well. You're watching us live on our YouTube channel as well, ncertofficial. You can also write your queries in the live chat box and we'll receive those queries, those questions, and we have an expert with us. She'll be more than happy to answer all those questions in this session. And she's going to stay with us till 1 o'clock. So please send your questions. And you can also email us on our email IDs. You can see those email IDs on your screen. This is for 6th class, 9th class and 12th class students. It's time to meet our expert and she is Professor Rashmi Devan. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Tanvi.
Namaste,
Namaskar, everyone.
Let me just introduce our expert to all of you. She is the head of National Center for School Leadership from NIPA. And NIPA is National Institute of Educational Planning and Administration. So, and now that I have clarified each and every detail here, let's begin this discussion. And I would like to ask ma'am that, ma'am, was leading a school stressful for after the announcement of the lockdown, which happened back in March 2020, almost 1.5 years ago? So if it was stressful, then how? Can you explain a little bit about it?
Yes. Tanvi, I would like to share with you that the focus of this session would be leading school, in this pandemic, and also the student learns. So there were many challenges in managing schools, in leading schools in this pandemic. So in fact, when I go by UNESCO estimates, at the time when schools were getting closed all around the globe, and the UNESCO came up with the report in 2020, the early days of school closure, that more than 290 million children have been pushed out of the school and into the darker zones of learning loss. So there was the first challenge on how to address these children who've been left out. The second is about, 1 year since then, UNESCO came up with another report, 2021 March, which said that half of the world student population is affected by this, and they have not been able to access schools because of certain, impediments. Because maybe access was the issue to internet connectivity or availability of mobile phones or any other device, digital device. But in India, as you have rightly pointed out, that the announcement in March on 24th, 2020 last year, there was a sudden interrupted learning, and lot of challenges were there for the school leaders to face. The first challenge that came, because the immediate concern was how to ensure student learning, continuity in learning when schools are closed, and we were more dependent on the digital online platforms. So the first challenge was how, and that there were paradigm shifts all of a sudden from face-to-face classrooms to virtual mode of teaching. So the first challenge was how to keep students engaged as intense on online platforms as face-to-face. The second challenge was more on the differential learning needs of students, particularly with special needs, with visually impaired and other, physically challenged students, and also those who were facing some kind of emotional and psychosocial, traumas during this time. So, in such a scenario, another challenge came up: the quality of knowledge transmission. See, there was a lot of things happening at the school level where teachers were selecting the appropriate online resources to be made available to the students, and that too in the far-flung areas. So, in such a scenario, leading an academic institution, including schools, was very stressful, for the school leaders, right from the system level to the school level. And principal leaders with whom we interact often at NCSL, the National Center for School Leadership, they did confess that they felt like on the crossroads all of a sudden. But lot of preparations, lot of changes have happened during this pandemic time, and the
I'm sure, ma'am. And I respect all the teachers who have handled this stressful situation, in a perfect manner. The respect has been, increased from my end. And let's talk about the digital divide here. We know that it's a problem. So, is it a problem only in our country, or it's across the globe? And if we talk about the limitations, then how has the deprivations in digital world and the infrastructure limitations affected the rest of the countries, not just India?
Yeah, actually, when we look at the, past, pre-COVID times, we have seen that there have been inequities in access to digital devices and, internet connections. But at the time of pandemic, we also have seen that there is a complete dependency on technology, and which further deepened the divide, not only in India, but also on the globe. UNESCO in 2020 report, it did announce that there were almost 50% learners who have computers, and that was around the globe. And also at the same time, there were 57% students who had access to internet facilities. So, but in India, despite that there were initiatives from the government, state governments, and the central government to provide digital devices in the form of mobiles or, the laptops to students, but still UNICEF in its first release, press release in March 2021, quite recent, it said only 1 in 4 have access to digital learning today. So there was a large gap between rural and urban areas and the students accessing the digital online platforms. Yesterday only I saw one newspaper clipping which reported that there are almost 3 crore children in the country, with the age group 6 to 13 plus, who across 23 states who don't have any digital devices with them. NSSO also reported that less than quarter have of the households, Indian households, have internet connections. Sir, in 2020 Wave 1 report, it also said that there is a large, gap between the rural children accessing online classes and the urban students. So it said that those in the rural, 18% of students were mainly in the rural setup above, standard 8. They were mostly from private schools. So NCRT at the same time in 2020 came up with a survey and to understand the ground realities. And it also reported, NCRT also reported that there can be 27% students who do not have laptops or phones. But also at the same time, these children, almost 27% children, they reported that there were two subjects in which the difficulties level have increased during this pandemic. And that is, the first one is mathematics, and the second one is, science, and due to obvious reasons. And also the third, there's another category of divide that has happened in this crisis, that there has been an absence of good learning, conditions at home for those children who stay in the overcrowded households, in slums, in camps, or they are immigrants. So this is another form of divide that has happened over this time, and this almost, the children age group, in the age group 13 to 16 have been affected more. So the digital divide, I would say, is real. It is not only in India, it's around the globe, and it is visible.
Okay. The numbers you have stated makes it obvious that it's across the globe. Ma'am, like you mentioned that almost 3 crore people, they don't have access to digital device. So in that case, what's the option left with these children?
Yes. See, these hindrances are not new to this country or to any other country around the globe. Because in Japan, see, when there was a pandemic on H1N1, schools were closed. In US cities, also due to influenza pandemic, schools were closed. In Hong Kong, in 2003 and 8, schools were closed because of the outbreaks in, influenza and respiratory syndrome. In India also, there were, places affected by natural disasters or flood-prone areas. The schools were closed. But this pandemic, the COVID-19, is a very unique, because earlier only one or few regions got affected. But today, due to pandemic, I think it had reached all corners of the world. And very challenging part was there was a physical distance to be maintained. So, in fact, World Bank, like you said, what are other options? World Bank did report that most of the countries of the world found their own ways to provide, remote learning. So, France, the United Kingdom, Netherlands, Colombia, they all, most of the initiatives took place, like schools in some areas were opened with few classrooms made available to children whose parents were in the emergency, duties. And at the same time, Colombia came up with online platform with more than 80,000 pedagogical resources in which low-income families had free access. So every country had found its own ways. Like Saudi Arabia, it utilized its TV channels. Japan, Russia, online platforms were provided to teachers, students, everyone, all the parents. Same is true for India. So online class delivery using Google Classrooms, Moodle, Zoom were made open. And at the same time, many free digital e-learning platforms were shared by Government of India and by other institutes for students at all levels and also for teachers. And you all know NR, OER platforms were made available. Diksha portal is there, e-Pathshala app, Swayam Prabha, Nishtha, all these have provided contents for students, teachers, and head teachers too. So at the same time, I would say that NCSL, the National Center for School Leadership, which I head, also came up with one online program in school leadership and management for school head teachers. So this is how this, India also opened up. And if you see the report, India report on digital education in 2020, it has reported 16 digital initiatives taken at different states in this country. So there has been a momentum, I would say, but at the same time, additional resources were also made available, at the school level by the school leaders itself. Homeworks were given, and many of the hard copies were made available to the farthest, remotest rural areas, in many of the states. And there were initiatives also on, on the beautification, keeping those distinct physical distance norms, on teaching by the teacher, on the walls of the schools where it was decorated and it was made more, presentable, colorful for the children to learn. So, but of course, there are many initiatives still, unnoticed, and NCSL has taken the initiative of collecting those, leadership practices, the outstanding leadership practices during this pandemic. So, and the brighter side is NCRT reports that many students, almost 30% more than them, have found this online learning joyful. And just for the simple reasons that learning took place at their own pace. Then there were parents who got involved in the learning process with the children, and also the interesting activities, evolved over this time, either by the teachers or anyone else from the education sector. So only those who did not seem happy with this was because of the hindrances created from the weak signals or internet connectivity. And in order to minimize those hindrances, Ministry of Education has come up with some guidelines on, student learning enhancement guidelines to create a strong network to reach out to teachers with plans and strategies, and also to work out on the capacity building of educators, teachers, and head teachers.
Okay. Ma'am, because our topic also includes National Educational Policy 2020, so let's talk a little bit about that as well. Because NEP was introduced around a year back, and at that time lockdown was going on. So do you think that NEP 2020 has ushered in a new hope for the children, that equitable and inclusive education and quality education will be provided to those children?
Yes. The policy aims at achieving equitable and inclusive quality education for all. So with that, I would say the National Education Policy 2020 has come up with a new hope for the vulnerable, for the marginalized, because here it talks about, SEDGs, that is socio-economically disadvantaged groups. So that is the main focus in order to provide quality education. And also it reaffirms that these were, including them, there will be more, bridging of the gaps in access, participation, and learning outcomes. And when we look at the, deep into this, you all would agree with me that it does have provisions to point that there will be universal provisioning of quality child care development and early childhood, development care and education for all children belonging to all sections, right from age 3 years onwards. And and Honorable Prime Minister also announced the Vidya Pravesh, which I will not go into details. And also there is a special focus on universal foundational literacy numeracy. So universalizing participation of all children at all levels of school education is the goal, where all children would be brought under the ambit of formal schooling by 2030. So it gives a new hope. And of course, the policy also keeps the futuristic perspective in view, with a mandate that planning has to take backwards now. So this is converting, weaknesses of the past into strengths of today, and converting strengths of today to opportunities for future.
Absolutely.
So this is the dream, and also let me share with you that this change, friends, do not think that it is going to be overnight.
Yes.
It takes time, gradual, speedy, with timelines given in the policy, and I think there will be separate set of expectations from school leaders, including principals, head teachers, teachers, and all levels of system administrators.
Absolutely. So that's where exactly I was coming, because whenever the schools will reopen, they will reopen today or tomorrow, and we're eagerly waiting for that moment. So what kind of expectations we are going to hold from the principal leadership to translate the policy goals in real school situation? And because ma'am, we don't have much time left, we just have 3 minutes left, so let's
I would
make
say
this
that
answer
once
brief.
schools open, once school open, it's going to be new vistas, to look ahead. But only two challenges remain, and leadership does matter here at the school level. The first challenge is how to, bridge that gap, which been created with the learning loss all these months. And second is the challenges about the mental health, psychosocial, support which a student would require, and also the teachers. So there will be more, responsibilities on the principals, no matter what they have gone through, but still there will be. So there will be, in fact, I would say that more of the innovative methods need to be evolved, and also to see that the learning occurs. And at the same time, planning for continuity of learning also needs to be ensured, but all has to be more contextual, looking at the realities of the schools and also the priorities, the goals. And I think the vision needs to be reset, and it has to be school-based, more closer to realities.
Okay.
And of course, the professional development of teachers will happen, and with the goal that holistic development of every child in the school. That is what NEP 2020 also talks about.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am.
So I would say longer thinking will be required with no box at all.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you here. Thank you so much, ma'am, for this wonderful session. The time has just passed and we didn't even realize that the half an hour is over. And it was a very interesting conversation I had with you.
Thank you.
I'm glad I had the opportunity. Thank you for your time. Thank you for
just
everything.
One last word I would say, that
sure,
today our country needs, in order to translate vision, by NEP 2020, translate into real school realities, we need paradigm shifters and idea champions to push the mechanism from good to great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I am sure all the students and parents and teachers, whoever is listening to you, will get inspired, and they'll try and follow what you said. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tanvi, and thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank
God
you.
bless. Thank you.
Thank you to all the students, to all the audiences as well. Please keep on watching our NCRT sessions. We all bring you these sessions so that you're not at the loss of your education. At 2 o'clock, we'll come back with a science class where the topic will be fiber and fabric for all the 7th class students. At 2:30, again, the class will be for 7th class students, and it will be a maths class. The topic will be exponents and powers part 2. At 3 o'clock, we'll come back with a Urdu class, and Kundan Lal Sehgal will be discussed for all the 8th class students. At 3:30, again, the class will be for 8th class students, and the topic will be Life of Tribals Part 2. It will be a history class. At 4 o'clock, there will be a webinar on ICT tool, a special program of ours followed by another special program of ours which will be at 5 o'clock, and that will be Sahyog, Guidance for Mental Well-being of the Children, and the topic will be Parents' Role in Fostering Emotional Growth in Children. So please watch all these programs and keep on giving us your feedback, send your queries through our email IDs, through our phone numbers, and even our YouTube channel, which is NCERT Official. Please keep on watching PMeVIDYA channels and our YouTube channel as well. Take great care of yourself, stay healthy, stay happy, and get vaccinated. Namaste.